All right, welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to be doing a recap for UFC Macau. That was last weekend now. Yeah, last week. That was a great card. We had a good night. I believe I profited about 5 units, and we're going to talk about it a bit. We've got UFC 310 coming up this week. I'll be doing my videos as always for that on Tuesday. But today we're going to recap UFC Macau a little bit because some crazy stuff happened, and it was a fantastic card. So for the first fight, it was Nicholas Mota versus Mahashate. I did have Mota there and he looked great. He was the underdog plus 200. He opened up the night, and he kind of showed that Machate has some things to work on. Moto was able to take advantage of the striking defense, was able to land a lot of big shots, was able to prevent any real grappling coming from Machate, and he did a great job. He won that decision very, very clearly and beat Machate in his hometown. That was great. Then after that, we had Long Zhao versus Quang Li. Credit to Long Zhao. This whole time, me and a lot of people were thinking that he's kind of a decision guy. He's not really finishing guys at a higher level. And he was fighting Quang Li, who's also, new to the UFC scene. It was his second UFC fight, but he's a durable guy. And Long came out there and he knocked him out. And it was pretty impressive. Round 3 knockout for Long. And good for him to get that finish. You could tell he was super hyped too. I'm glad he got it. After that, we had one of my favorite fights on the card, Loney Kavanaugh versus Jose Ochoa. I had Ochoa there. I did play him at like plus 300. I thought Loney probably would win, but I thought there was value on the plus 300. And I would make that bet again. It was 1-1 going into the third. And I felt like Ochoa could have won that fight. He just made a few mistakes. But it was clear both guys are prospects. Both guys have a really good future. Loney in particular, I'm really excited to see what he does. And I think he's only going to have a few opponents before he starts getting ranked opponents. So that's going to be interesting to see him go up the rankings. And Ochoa, too. I think they're going to give him an easy matchup next and then start building him up. After that, we had Carlos Hernandez versus my guy Toomey. That was an interesting fight. Hernandez pretty much did what I expected him to. He had a tremendous advantage on the ground. And Toomey had some big moments. He's an exciting guy. I'm looking forward to him coming back. He's the guy with the real aura. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out his Instagram page. He's got some pretty cool pictures. But yeah, I'm hyped to see Toomey back. Good win for Hernandez, though. And then after that, so this was probably one of the craziest things that happened that night, if not the craziest. We had Ming coming on against Zhao Kan Feng, and Feng was a heavy favorite. I think Ming was plus 400 pre-flop before the fight, and I did have a small play on Ming. I thought that she would come out there and be able to grapple because Feng doesn't have great takedown defense, but Feng was winning that fight. I think she got like one takedown, but then she comes out there and she just gets that nasty head kick. People are calling it a fluke, a meme. I just see a nicely timed head kick that was real good. And Fang after that had the stretcher, her neck. They had that thing on her neck. It was kind of scary to see, and to just see Ming who seems very friendly and nice, and is a doctor apparently, come out there and get a crazy knockout. It was pretty nuts. And she was a big underdog every single fight of that tournament. Her first fight, I think she was like plus 200. Her second one, I think she was like plus 300. And this one against Fang, she was plus 400 and won anyways. So pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to her in the UFC. And I got to say, probably one of my new favorite fighters, at least of this year. After that, we had Dong Hun Choi versus Kiru Sahota. Interesting. Choi came out there, just knocked Sahota right out. I was nervous about Sahota's durability, his striking defense, because he's such a tall, lanky guy. I kind of felt like Choi might be live to knock him out, and he did. So good performance from Choi. Welcome to the UFC, and I'm sure we'll see Sahota in the promotion as well. After that, it was Su Young Yu versus Baragang Jailesi. Also another fight that went just about as I expected it to. Two grapplers. I thought it would be a bunch of scrambling with you being the better wrestler, better grappler. And I thought it would go to the decision. That's what I bet on. And that cash, so that was nice. After that, Ming Yang Zhang versus Ozzy Diaz. That was another good fight. Zhang came out, did exactly what people expected him to. Got the first round knockout. That step-in elbow was real nice. I thought if Ozzy could just survive that, he could take over. But never got to see it because Zhang got him out of there in the first, as many people expected. After that, it was Oberg versus Volkan Oezdemir. Oberg was taking his first real step up in the division, by far his best opponent to date. And before the fight, I did feel like Oberg was going to be able to pass that test, and he did. He came out there, had a great performance against Oezdemir, was striking with him for 3 rounds, outlanded him, and just looked great. So I think we're going to see Oberg fighting for a title in 2025. I do think that we're going to get Pereira Oberg at some point. And honestly, I think Oberg could beat him. So that'll be an interesting fight when they make it. After that was the biggest upset of the night and one of the biggest upsets in, I think, history of the UFC. We had Cong Wang coming out at minus 1,000, I think, against Gabriela Fernandez, who was plus 700. I did end up playing Fernandez small. I just felt like she was also a really good striker, and that Wang, when she's fighting people, she can't just run over. She's not what people are making her out to be. Like, people are making her out to be the next Shevchenko, and I just don't think she's there yet. And Gabriela Fernandez was losing, caught her with a big shot, and then choked her out. It was crazy. Really nice cash. That felt good, but good for Fernandez. She's been losing when she fights grapplers, but so far, every striker she's had, she beat them. So, going to be interesting to see her career, and going to be interesting to see who they give Cong Wang next, because her record now is 6-1. If she gets another loss, 6-2, they kind of lose all the hype. So they're going to have to probably give her an easier matchup next. But I'm not even sure who you give her, because Fernandez isn't like a top ranking woman. So I'm not even sure who you give Cong Wang next, but she definitely needs something to come back with. And then after that, it was Salikov, Song Kenan. Salikov knocked him out quick. Like I said before that fight, I'm done betting Song Kenan. He cashed for me against Ricky Glenn, but he looked career worst, and he's not even that old, but seems to be declining. So wasn't surprised by that. I did think Salikov would beat him, and I thought the knockout was live. After that, it was Yan Jianan versus Tabitha Ricci. So going into that fight, I felt like Ricci's a live dog. I felt like maybe she can get her grappling going, but nah, Yan just ran through her. She beat her over three rounds. She didn't finish her, but she completely outstruck her, was able to stuff the takedowns, and Ricci had nothing for her on the feet. So really good performance from Yan, and I'm sure she'll be back in the title picture relatively soon, but it's a really competitive title picture now. I mean, we're talking 115. So who do we have there? We have um what's her name? Really good girl. Silva. We have Silva in that division. We have Manon. No, Manon's flyweight. Who else is 115? Blanchfield is flyweight. I'd have to sit down and look at the rankings, but it's another packed division. And then after that, we had the main event. We had Peter Yan versus Davis and Figueiredo, and another fight that went pretty much how I expected it to. I thought maybe Figueiredo would have a little bit more success, but I thought that Yan would be able to outstrike him, outwork him. 5 rounds really favors Yan in general. And I felt like we're either way, whoever won, we were going to a decision, and that's what I bet on. So that cashed, and Peter Yan pulled through. Great performance from him. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him next, because they could do Sean O'Malley, Peter Yan, and then Umar Merab, and then winner of O'Malley Yan fights for the title. I think Yan could beat O'Malley this time. It's so rough as a Peter Yan fan. I don't know that if he can get the title back now, because I don't know if he could beat Merab, and I really don't know if he could beat Umar. I feel like Umar is going to beat Peter Yan, and I think Umar is probably going to beat Merab. But if Merab wins against Umar or doesn't get him next, I think Yan could make it competitive, but I don't see what's changed enough from the first fight where the outcome is going to be super different. So happy my guy Yan won, but I don't know what's next for him. And that's it, guys. That's UFC Macau. Recapped it. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and have a good one. I'll see you next time.